2, 1.
Good Monday morning, everybody, and welcome to KSAT News Now. As we get started with our work week here, we are streaming on KSAT.com, KSAT Plus, and also don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe to the KSAT News Now daily podcast.
All right,
what is up,
so
Alicia?
not much. I'm excited for today because it's back in a boxing form, at least.
Yeah.
Stick for your sports. Make it a comeback.
Yes.
And you're featuring Canelo Alvarez.
Yes, a very sad Canelo Alvarez this morning for not only him, but his fans as well. So we'll get into that a little bit. That was a pretty big sports story over the weekend.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that my mom is such a huge boxing fan.
Wow.
And especially when it comes to the Mexican boxers. I remember as a kid, Oscar de la
He's a
Hoya.
legend. Yep.
And then now, of course, Canelo.
Julio
And so
Cesar
she
Chavez,
was
my
so
guy.
into like me telling her all the updates with Canelo. There weren't any good ones, but still.
Right.
Man,
So we'll
tough
talk
loss.
about that. Yeah, tough loss there. We'll talk about it here in just a little bit. Plus, we also have an anonymous donor, a very interesting story, who picked up the tab for some Texas college graduates over the weekend.
Yeah.
Very nice story.
Plus, the cost for high-speed internet is expected to go way down. We'll tell you which Americans could benefit from this big discount. But first, we want to start with the latest overseas in Ukraine.
Yeah, that's right, Alicia. Attacks by Russian forces continue at the steel plant there in the port city of Mariupol. And according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, the Russians are backed by tanks and artillery.
There were Ukrainian civilians trapped inside that steel plant, but they've finally been evacuated. And now Ukrainian officials are telling residents to be on alert after Western officials have warned that Russian President Vladimir Putin could formally declare war during his speech today as Russia celebrates their annual Victory Day. So this is a big day for Russians.
It is. So Victory Day is celebrated as a national holiday on May 9th, and it commemorates the Soviet Union's defeat of Nazi Germany in World War II. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky uploaded a Victory Day video message vowing that Ukraine will win.
And in other regions of the war-ridden country, the situation remains tense with renewed bombings. Those have not stopped. Heavy Russian presence really just along the country, throughout the country, and people now, again, just little food, water, and extremely limited medicine. We go back, we've talked about them since the start. Ukrainian San Antonio, the official group for Ukrainian aid here in our city, and they continue to ask for medical supplies. Right now, that is the big push because it's so limited. It's so hard for them to get their hands on that. So again, if you're looking for someone to help out, a group that's verified, Ukrainian San Antonio is your group.
Right, and evacuations, they're continuing by the thousands every day. I believe Mariupol was one of the last cities that had been a little bit of a stronghold for Ukraine, but that city is now being evacuated completely as those families, and we were talking about just the search for any sort of necessities just to survive out there. Very tough situation as that continues to ongo there in Ukraine.
In other news, here at home, voters in San Antonio and Bexar County hit the polls this weekend to vote, and they did on several state, city, and school bond propositions.
Yeah, busy election day. San Antonio voters passed the city's largest ever bond program, and that includes a first of its kind affordable housing portion.
When it comes to schools, voters approved a nearly $1 billion bond proposal for Northside ISD and a $125 million proposal for Harlandale ISD.
But both of Medina Valley's bond elections failed to pass. This is a pretty big development here. One would have paid for a new high school, middle school, and an elementary school. The other would have paid for a football stadium. So Medina Valley there, Castroville area, that area continues to just grow by the minute, and yet voters there struck down both those propositions.
You know, the one that really surprises me is the football stadium, that one didn't pass, because football is king here, but I mean, you're talking, it's a big amount.
Yeah, definitely,
So,
definitely.
All right, Texas voters did approve 2 property tax relief measures to give homeowners a slight break on their property tax bills. One was for older and disabled Texans.
And you could get a full breakdown and results on our website, ksat.com. So a very interesting Saturday there. You mentioned the the stadium. I know that Judson also, their previous bond, they had also rejected that stadium proposal. So it seems like you're right. A lot of local districts getting a little bit tighter when it comes to voting for athletics and things of that nature. But the Northside bond, $1 billion, nearly $1 billion there to really renovate a lot of existing schools and refurbish a lot of them. So
the Biden administration, we're moving on to a different story here. They're capping the cost of internet for millions of Americans, and this is something that during his campaign for president, Biden was really pushing for, to have more equity when it comes to internet.
Yeah, and hopefully that will solve the case here. So that means that 48 million homes could qualify for a monthly internet plan that would cost only $30 a month. But how is this possible, and what companies have gotten on board?
So this is for people with low incomes. We know 20 internet providers committed to the plan, which provides speeds of 100 megabits per second or higher, and it'll be paid for an already existing government subsidy. So there's some planning involved, but looks like it's going to happen.
And those who receive benefits such as the Pell Grant, Medicaid, or SNAP may qualify, and soon people can visit getinternet.gov to confirm their eligibility and sign up for this program. Organizations including the United Way and Goodwill can also help families with outreach and the enrollment process.
Which is so important, because you're talking about families who, one, may not be able to afford internet, and two, probably don't have it yet at their home. So they will need some help navigating this process. But here are the participating providers: Allo Communications, Alta Fiber, and Hawaiian Telecom; Altus USA, which includes Optimum and Suddenlink; Down, AT&T, which is a very popular one; BreezeLine, Comcast, Comporium, Frontier, Idea Tech, Cox Communications.
Yeah, so a lot of companies that are already jumping on board. Wait to see if some other ones here. So Jackson Energy Authority, Mediacom, MLGC, Spectrum, or Charter Communications, Steri, Verizon, but only Fios, Vermont Telephone Company, Vexus, Faber, and finally, wow, Internet, Cable, and TV. So
All right,
lot of different
hold on. You
there.
went through those really fast.
Yes.
So Verizon, Fios only. I mean, and we want to reiterate that because those are some of the really bigger companies. So, and then WOW, Internet, Cable, and TV is a whole company.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, that's
it
a
wasn't
lot of
WOW, Internet, Cable, and TV.
Yeah, that's a lot of different companies that are taking part. But I think this is also kind of centers on the digital divide that we've seen, especially with the pandemic. You know, there's a lot of areas here in San Antonio that can benefit from this as well. When you think about, we were talking earlier about affordable housing. You know, like you were saying, a lot of times people don't have access to connect to get high-speed internet. So yeah, this is a pretty interesting step for them.
I remember being in high school, and that was a big hurdle for me, because even though I knew how to navigate, my parents did not. So it makes sense, right, to have this, because one of the things that the White House said, that this is no longer, you know, a luxury, it's just a necessity. Everything, even with students, especially when you talk about the pandemic, these kids were relying 100% on internet, and a lot of them did not. So you had a lot of school districts having to provide Wi-Fi hotspots, laptops for their students. And then you didn't hear from a lot of students again because they didn't have internet at home. So this is going to be a great program for those families who really need it. So again, it's for low income, and more information is soon to come about that.
Well, speaking of students, college graduations for the class of 2022 have started. So a lot of people taking pictures, graduation pictures is always fun to see. And Wiley College out there in East Texas had a major surprise. Not only did they get their degree, these students, listen to this announcement made by Wiley College's president at Saturday's graduation.
You are debt-free. You do not owe the college a penny. If you have a balance, you had a balance. You no longer have a balance. I want to give you...
Wow, you could just see the excitement in all those college graduates to hear that at this ceremony right there, to hear that you are now debt-free, you had a balance, and no longer have a balance is pretty amazing stuff there. I would assume that they and their families were extremely excited about this.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I mean, At first, I would think it's a joke, like what balance? Like my library balance,
right.
my cafeteria,
tickets.
my park. I had plenty of those in college.
Right, yeah.
But no, they were talking about their tuition, like whatever
Student
FAFSA
debt,
did
yeah.
not
Yeah.
cover, then this donor. So a donor is who gave them this huge surprise, what probably many would say is the best college graduation gift ever. So this donor decided to stay anonymous, and they paid the balances of more than 100 students that participated in the commencement convocation, again, class of 2022. So
Right.
congratulations not only for their degree, but no debt, no
That is
student
awesome.
debt.
That's always such a big hurdle, especially once you graduate, trying to figure out what you're going to do with your student loan debt. And look, speaking of the gift itself, so the estimated total for balances owed to the college by this graduating class of 2022 is $300,000. So impressive gift right there.
Yeah, so tuition at Wiley College is more than $17,000, and the pandemic, as we've talked about it, we've heard these stories, has made it even harder for students to pay off their balances because it's hard for some of them to get a job or internship or whatever they may need. So to be able to just graduate and have no debt, man, I want to know the feeling.
Exactly. Yeah. Great stuff there for Wiley College, and good stuff there from that anonymous donor. I wonder if this is maybe an alum or just someone who
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Right? Who just kind of is looking out for his fellow alum right there. So awesome stuff there. Okay, here we go. Yes. Always duplicated, actually never duplicated, but it's time for Stick Figure Sports, and it was a very sad weekend for Canelo Alvarez and his millions of fans.
Yeah, it really was. So I didn't watch this fight. I was going to, and all I did the next day was look for updates. So he met his match on Saturday, and he lost to Dimitri Bivol. Is that who you pronounce
Dimitri
his?
Bivol, yep.
So this was in their light heavyweight fight in Vegas.
Big fight over the weekend as Max Massey just walked by and just had a smirk on his face, probably because of this drawing right here. So here's what we're doing for Stick Figure Sports. First time we're doing boxing here. Canelo, I drew him there with his pink trunks, which he was wearing on Saturday night. And Dimitri Bivol ended up being this huge guy. I didn't even know this guy. I had never seen this guy fight before.
Well, that's why they were saying that, like, Canelo was totally, like, not outnumbered, but just
kind of overmatched.
Yeah, there you go.
In terms
Overmatched
of
is the word.
size and the length and the height of Dimitri Bivol. So we drew his opponent right there. But you know what? Afterwards, things were all good because Canelo went to go sing karaoke, I guess, at a Las Vegas bar. So that's that part of Stick Figures.
Oh.
He's doing all right. He's doing all right. He
loses
his title belt. That's his little title belt up there with an L in the middle.
So this was the first time that in 9 years that he lost, and it was back in 2013 that he lost to Floyd Mayweather, and the judges awarded Bivol a unanimous victory, which, again, breaking it down to my mom, she's like, so what was the decision? And I guess a lot of people were agreed. I mean, who was it that walked out? Like a minute.
What do you mean?
There was a big, was it Floyd? Let me just look this up.
That looked up, that walked out of this match? You're going to have to look that one up. So speaking about Canelo, he moved up weight classes to fight Bivol and was mostly overmatched. He said that he wants a rematch and said that it will not end like this. As we look at some reaction on Twitter there for people viewing the platforms. Look, those are funny memes right there. The one with Pablo Escobar. Canelo fans after the fight looking very sad. And then the one from Rocky IV, which was the Russian Ivan Drago, who was actually towering over Rocky. That's the way I felt for this match for Canelo. I was like, what is going on here? Did he not know how big this dude was?
Yeah, he did.
I don't know. It felt like a pretty big difference there. But I will give credit to Canelo though, because he always moves up and down weight classes. There's not very many boxers that will do that. They'll usually just stick with their weight class. So Canelo fighting at 175 pounds. Did you have to explain all this to your mom?
Oh yeah, I mean, she knows. Like she's into it.
Yeah, he had to move up in weight classes to take this fight. A lot of people saying that even though he wants a rematch, not sure that he can actually fight at the weight that he was at. He looked a little bit slower, I will say.
Yeah,
he looked a little bit heavier. He was heavier, but he looked a little bit slower.
That tells you a lot.
Yeah.
So, what did you quote him saying? That this will not stay like this, or what?
Yeah, that it does not end like this.
See, and then on his Instagram, I guess it was a different vibe. He writes this in Spanish, and boxeo es así. Boxing is like this. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but always with your head held high. Me quedo con la gran pelea. I'm staying with this huge fight that, you know, he thinks he did well in front of the fans. He says, we'll fight again and we will win again.
Yes. Yeah, I believe
So,
him.
I
Hey,
mean-
look, I think that if he comes back and he fights Dimitri Bivol again, he will be refocused. I kind of felt like he was maybe also not taking Bivol a little too serious. The guy
I mean, that
only
makes
fought like
sense.
20 fights.
Okay, but I'm looking at pictures of the two. Bivol is not that much
Well,
taller
he
than
looked a lot
him.
bigger.
He's not that much taller. Bivol
Oh, there's
height.
Alyssa. Look, Alyssa saw it from every round, right, Alyssa? She's like,
He's
oh my
big.
God.
Hold on. He's 6 feet and okay, yeah, 5'8".
Yeah,
All
that was
right.
5'8".
What was he wearing? Wedges there? Because he looked. I mean, the difference didn't look too big. Anyways, yeah, sad weekend for Alvarez fans, Canelo fans. But
He'll be back. He'll be back.
I mean, his fans are supportive.
Yeah, he's still an all-time legendary boxer and stuff. So we'll sit back there. Yeah.
Did you watch the fight, Alyssa?
Yeah, kind
Were his fans really booing him? I read that.
Canelo's?
Canelos. Towards the end. No?
I think they were probably
Okay.
more in shock, surprised, because
were
Bivol
shook.
was a big underdog. And
Yeah.
I think Mayweather actually bet against.
See, maybe it
Canelo,
was.
too.
Okay, I don't know. Anyways, I'll do my research here again.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so this weekend, weather. Look,
You're
I was
fighting
out
the
of
heat,
town and I
fighting the
was
heat.
so happy because triple digit. I mean, it was
Yeah.
like 96 or 97 in Dallas, but
Yeah,
nothing
it was
compared to the humidity
so
here.
hot. Oh my gosh, it was brutal this
Brutal.
weekend. Yes, it's brutal out there. It was very hot. And
That's all you can say. Very hot. Very
That's
hot.
it.
We were
See you
melting.
later. So you know it was hot, right? But in case you missed it, we did set a new record high temperature on Saturday with the high of 101. We also got back up to 101 on Sunday. That was 1 degree shy of Sunday's record high. And this is a little early for triple digit heat. Usually we start to see 100s on the board by mid to late June. So we're a month and a half ahead of schedule here in terms of 100s. Also, with these back-to-back triple-digit days this weekend, that became the earliest instance of consecutive 100-degree days in San Antonio ever since records have been kept. That goes all the way back to 1885. So it's been a long time. Previously, the earliest point in a year that we had back-to-back 100-degree days was 1967. So the heat this weekend was significant, and a big part of the reason why we saw such crazy heat this weekend was a little ridge of high pressure, or a mini heat high, centered down to our south. This takes a jog off to the northeast over the next couple of days. Our high temperatures come away from the triple digit mark, but it's still going to be unseasonably warm all week long. Our highs are in the mid to upper 90s this week. Our average high this time of year is in the mid to upper 80s. So we're going to continue to trend about 10 to 15 degrees above average for this time of year. Not just today, but also for the entirety of the work and school week. It's very toasty already today, pushing 90 in Pleasanton, 85 at the airport, 81 in Del Rio. Cloud cover having an effect on temperatures now, but we're going to lose the cloud cover after lunchtime, and then temperatures just skyrocket. Again, 83 hello to 78 Los Maples with a bit more cloud cover there. Look at our dew points. They are up there, everyone, low to mid 70s. We are pushing the top tier of our humidity tracker scale there. So it is the air you can wear out in full force across the area this morning. So we had some clouds early in the day and still a lot more cloud cover well west of 35, but around San Antonio and Bexar County, we're really starting to see some sun now, and we're going to start to see our temperatures jump into the 90s here probably within the next hour or so. Look at this. Here's the view at the airport, 410 there. We still got some fair weather clouds lingering, but that sun is really starting to push through now. As we head into the afternoon, any of this cloud cover from this morning will gradually go away. I expect by 4 or 5 o'clock we've got just abundant sunshine, and that helps to really heat things up again today. Upper 90s are a safe bet for pretty much everyone, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see a few triple digits on the board, especially south and west of the Alamo City this afternoon. That's just the air temperatures, all right? The feels like temperatures, or the heat index, those numbers are going to be even higher. Around San Antonio and Bexar County, heat index hottest part of the day today, likely peaking around 105, 106, somewhere in there. But look, southwest of San Antonio, places like Carrizo Springs, Cotulla, heat index there could get up to 110. So we're Texans. We're used to the heat. This is a bit early, but this is just a good reminder, especially if you work outside. Not all of us are so lucky to be able to work in the AC all day. If you work outside, just stay hydrated. That's a really big thing. And just try to take breaks when you can. This heat is serious. Thankfully, the saving grace today is the wind. Southeast winds 10 to 20 miles per hour through the afternoon, through the evening, and that wind just kind of helps to keep this hot, heavy air moving around just a little bit more. Another note, if we get up to 98 today, that will be a new record high temperature. The record high for today is 97. We're going 98 this afternoon. We'll be watching late Tuesday out west toward West Texas and northern Mexico for some storms to get going in the afternoon. The leftovers of that could try to wander our way after sunset on Tuesday. Otherwise, any meaningful rain not in the cards over the next 7 to 10 days or so. And the spring sizzle remains the big focus. That's what I'm calling it. Spring sizzle.
Spring sizzle. Question for you. So I know you mentioned it's a little bit early for these temperatures.
Yes.
When is it usually when we start?
Usually mid to late June.
Really?
Yeah. Our average first triple-digit day over the last 30 years is June 26th.
I didn't realize that it was that like late in June. I was thinking maybe end of May.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I always remember going back to school, especially at Texas State, that August was just always so brutal.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I know
It's
that like walking up those hills up there.
We expect
the worst.
it. We expect it
Sorry, I
then.
just went off.
Here for like Mother's Day, I think people were really kind of surprised. So yeah, it's early.
Yeah. The spring sizzle. Sizzling.
Sizzle.
Could fry an egg out there
Like
on the
bacon.
asphalt. Have you ever tried that?
No, I've never tried that. I've always wanted to, though.
Might be
I
the
will
day to
admit.
do it.
Yeah, I will admit I want to do. Thank you, Katie. All right, so I did look up. I had read. We're going back to the Canelo loss. So it was the LA Times. Their reporter Jorge Castillo was the one who wrote this. He says, quote, a minute into his final chance, Alvarez, the Mexican superstar, was being booed by a crowd that adored him. A minute later, Mike Tyson, sitting ringside, decided he had seen enough and left, end quote. So that's where I got that from.
That is very bizarre to me. And actually, you brought that up. There was a screenshot that I got from a Twitter user. This was on. This was a reply to DAZN Boxing. They're the ones who showed the fight as we get our stick figure sports back up here. But Chuco said it was funny to see how many people switching up on Canelo. So to follow
That's
up
how
on your
it is
point,
always.
he's still the best fighter in the world.
They always do that, though.
Yeah.
Bandwagoners much. Just kidding.
You know, here's the thing, though. It's something we talked about earlier, is that boxing in Mexico, and especially amongst Mexicans, even Mexican Americans here, boxing is pretty big here in San Antonio, too. Very passionate. Very passionate. We have a lot of heroes. You mentioned some of them. Julio Cesar Chavez was one that we saw a lot growing up. So yeah, they get very much opinionated when it comes to boxing and the national soccer team. Those are the two things they get very.
So since we're talking about, and we mentioned it briefly on Friday when we were over at the Techport Center. Techport Center and Arena on the city's southwest side.
Yep.
Right. Okay. If you want to support a local boxer, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, he's going to be at Techport Arena on June 25th. That's a Saturday, I believe.
Yeah.
So there's another guy that you can go support. He says it's his, people say it's his homecoming.
San Antonio
San Antonio proud.
There we go. So we got some more boxing matches to look forward to here. All right, guys, thank you very much for being with us on today's edition of KSAT News Now. Hopefully you guys stay cool out there, and
See you tomorrow at 11 a.m.
there we go.